Animals are innocent. They suffer their whole life. To be shown no mercy, get their head cut off, just so someone can have a sandwich.
We stand together in solidarity for animal liberation, and we'll march into the streets and make sure our voices are heard. A few years of partying for me, but I've stopped partying about 4 years ago. But
did you?
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, 4 years sober, man.
I'm still trying to get there. I was 2.5 years sober.
Even as a youngster, I was around an environment where there was alcohol, there was drug use, there was teenagers drinking older than me. That was really young, under 10 years old. Growing up in an environment like that, the odds are against you. You learn to adapt.
From a beautiful, placid little boy that used to do anything for anybody, walk grannies across the road, become this thing I didn't even know.
I never really thought I was a drug addict. I just thought I liked to party. We always had sort of like a gang of us. It was never like nothing official, it was just a group of mates hanging out. As I got older and older, started to fall into a more sort of organised group of blokes.
Good evening. With Adelaide in the midst of a surge in gun crime,
South Australia is losing ground when it comes to legislation to outlaw motorcycle gangs.
You get caught with a gun and you go to jail, that's just the way it is. And so there was the longest time in the last 12 years that I'd been sober for. When I got out, I was on parole. I was forced to be sober. About a month of being out, I always had this seed planted in my head about veganism.
I was having a conversation with my mum about smoking. You shouldn't be smoking, you know, I thought I was this beacon of light since I'd been forced to be sober. And I was criticising her and she said, you know, there's a lot of vices people have that they don't change. And when she said that, I reflected. And when I reflected, I thought, you know, I've always known that it's hypocritical of me to say that I care about animals, but, you know, there's this piece of a cow who'd probably suffered greatly, been bolt gunned in the head on my plate. And I changed right there and then. I changed spontaneously. The next day I went full vegan, and that was the beginning of my activist journey.
When I found out the truth, I had to say something about it. I had to say, like, look what's happening to these animals, you know? I couldn't stay silent while this injustice was happening. It's just not me. It's not me.
There's no humane or right way of doing it. That just shouldn't be done whatsoever. Every animal should just be free to live a happy life, and that's it. They should just exist for the reason of existing.
The good thing to know is that we have power in what happens to these animals in our life, so you can stop the cruelty in your life, and the only way to do that is by going vegan. It's not about animal cruelty, it's about animal use. They're slaves at the end of the day. We use them for our pleasure and we don't need to, it's unnecessary.
We're just trying to show compassion, you know, and in a world that doesn't care about animals, you know.
Animals would save themselves if they could.
If you eat suffering and death, it becomes you.
If everyone does what they can, then we will slowly create a movement. And once we get a movement, right, once the ball starts rolling, it will start snowballing and we'll reach a tipping point sooner or later. It might not be in my lifetime, but the groundwork will be done.